Hello there, welcome to this video. My name is still Milan, and in this video I will give a first proper review of my dream build on a reasonable budget. My Yoeleo, based on the Yoeleo R12 frame. So, first of all, the bad stuff, the good stuff, and then general conclusion. So, the bad stuff. Number one, weather has turned really bad as soon as the build was ready. So I haven't been able to ride it as much as I want, only about 400 kilometers in the last few weeks. So yeah, nothing to be done about that. Bad stuff number two is the build didn't always go as smoothly as I might have hoped, but every challenge had its solution and I managed to make, and fix everything. So, but some things were a little bit fiddly or a little bit challenging, depending on how you want to look at it. But in the end, everything turned out okay. And then the next bad thing is that I had the little scratch on the frame. That was unfortunate. If Yoeleo had packaged it in a proper way, that wouldn't have happened. And also the fact that I had to wait a long time for customs to get my handlebars. And then the final bad point is that disc brakes were a little bit more fiddly to get them not to rub and not to squeal. I still had a bit of noise coming from the back brake. If I was braking at very low speeds, it was still making some sounds, but I'm getting there and I'm learning how to fix it. And then one more thing that was a little bit disappointing is how quiet the free hub sound is. So I was expecting to have like bzzz, a bit more free hub sound, because here in Belgium we have a lot of bike paths or paths with for bikes and pedestrians and so on, which are excellent places to ride your bike. But sometimes there's like people just walking along, or cyclists or something, and they're just going to the left, to the right, and so on. And then either you have to like shout, excuse yourself, or maybe ring or something. But it's much better if they can hear you coming, because you stopped, or you pedal backwards, and then they hear you coming, and then it's like they notice it themselves. So then they know, okay, someone's coming, and they stay on the right. But actually, it's a super quiet hub. Like now you can hear it. I will demonstrate. But when you're on the road, there's just the buzz of the carbon rims, rolling over the road is almost over, and then just the wind overpowers this. So actually, not really bad points, which brings me to the good points. So first of all, ride feel quality. Well, after doing 400 kilometers, sort of newness is a little bit gone. I'm getting used to the bike, and the qualities I will talk about right now are not only qualities of the frame, but qualities of the whole system, so the whole bike. So the tires, the latex inner tubes, the wheels, the spokes, the hubs, the frame, carbon handlebars, everything combined. So about ride quality, there's the stiffness, there's the comfort, there's the stability, and then there's the speed, I think. So first of all, stiffness. So this, you notice this right away as you the first ride I took. As soon as you sort of get out of the saddle, put a bit more power on it, you do get that feeling like, okay, this bike wants to move forward. And I let my brother ride on it for a little while, and he said, the bike, it's as if every watt of power makes the bike go forward. Now that's a typical sentence that's been used to sell bikes, and I don't really believe it. It's not like other bikes sort of eat your watts and don't go forward. All bikes go forward if you do it. but you do notice a bit more stiffness. Also when climbing up hills out of the saddle, especially when you're just riding along, it's not that noticeable compared to my other bike. But yeah, when you're putting down the power, you notice it's more stiff. Now, is it the frame? Is it the bottom bracket? Is it the crankset, which is more stiff than my old one, and yeah, considerable upgrade? Is it the wheels? Is it the hubs? Is it the true axles? Or probably everything, the whole package combined, does make a tangible difference compared to my old bike. Second point was the comfort, and I did not expect this, but this bike, again, the system as a whole, is actually more comfortable than my Bianchi endurance frame, which had these sort of, in the forks, they had these Kevlar areas and so on to be more compliant and to take up shocks and so on. But this bike actually does a better job at sort of, like, you still feel all the cobbles if you ride over them, or the little grooves on the road or something, or little road buzz. Of course you still feel it. It doesn't have like suspension or something, but it's like you don't mind as much. It doesn't sort of come across as sharp. So I've tested the bike a few times on cobbles, and it's actually more comfortable than my other bike, which was especially built to be comfortable. Again, maybe it's also because that has alloy handlebars, alloy seat tube and so on, older wheels, etc. I don't know exactly where it is, but this bike super comfortable for a road bike, of course. Then next point, stability. This is also something that a few people mentioned when I asked them how does the Yoeleo R12 feel. They said, yeah, it's a good ride, it's a stable ride, and I have to fully agree. So when you're just riding on a straight road, it's much easier to, or it seems to be very easy to control the bike and to just go in a straight line along with the road. Even if you're looking behind you, if you're looking around, looking next to you, for a few seconds you're still perfectly in the same line. Everything goes very smoothly. Also, when taking corners, it's very predictable where you will end up. Of course, every bike will turn when you turn the handlebars, but with this bike I can just sort of take corners a little bit faster, since I have a bit more, or I've built up a bit more confidence in the bike, and you just, there's just a bit better sense of control. Again, it might come because my older bike and the wheels, etc., just had a little bit more flex in them, and we're like a little bit harder to control, and here I can sort of have more subtle control, but very, very stable to ride and very stable to take corners. Again, an excellent point. Also, when you kind of put down power, it feels as if instead of the bike sort of wanting to go along with the power, as if the bike is on a rail and it just keeps going forward. So again, a very nice and good feeling to have. And then lastly, speed. That's also something tangible, slightly tangible at least. So again, the whole system, again, from the tires, the wheels and the frame, everything together, and also the handlebars, which are a little bit narrower than my previous set. You do notice a bit of extra speed, just on straight roads, when you're putting down power, when you're having a bit of a side wind. That's also excellent. Of course, that feeling is probably mostly due to the deeper carbon wheels, which you can notice, of course, the difference. The sound is, of course, different, but also like the way they control and so on is very nice. Except one maybe slightly negative thing is, of course, when you have a lot of wind, especially when there's like a side wind or something, and you're like going through houses and then there's open spaces and so on, and suddenly you have like a side wind again, it does push you harder than if you have or than my normal yeah, than my old alloy rims. But it's not, I mean, you just have to pay attention to it. It's not a deal breaker, and you won't be like suddenly on the other side of the road. It's just you have to anticipate it a little bit, have to hold on to your handlebars, and you sort of, yeah, you lean into the wind a little bit as it's hitting you to go on a straight line. All right, next point, of course, is the group set. So the new, for me, new Ultegra. I think I'm super happy with that. The shifting, especially, is excellent. So it's super light shifting. So I was kind of worried about that a little bit with full cable housing, making all these turns in the handlebars, in the stem, in the frame, and then here and so on. That would be an issue, but that's not the case at all. And also, like when I'm fixing my older bikes, who all have like, my city bikes and so on, who all have external housing, you see that the point of friction is always at the cable starts and at the ferrules and so on, where it joins the frame and so on. It's never somewhere inside of the cable. But we'll see how long it lasts. But for now, it's super smooth. It's also, the shifting is super. It's very confident. Like, it feels that the group set is confident that shifting will go well. So I'm also confident about it, and it's quite rewarding to shift, because just the lightest of touches will make for a perfect shift. And especially if you're shifting to a smaller sprocket, it will give this sort of sound through the wheel, like a dunk sound. So when you're shifting up, it's just like a and then dunk dunk dunk. Well, if you putting pressure on, shifting, it's just always perfect. Also, like on full power, there's always perfect and always super smooth. I think if you have Di2, well, good for you, of course, but I don't think, like the shifting is not slower on mechanical, because as soon as you move your finger, the shift will happen. There's no possible delay there. It's just instant. Of course, there is the whole issue about maintenance, which is more intensive, of course, for mechanical. That's a fair point. And then lastly, the brakes. Of course, disc brakes, new for me, and it's often said that disc brakes just better than rim brakes. But with rim brakes, if you want to, you can slam the brakes and you can lock the brakes. So it's not that rim brakes are too weak. So what makes disc brakes better, I think, that's what I noticed as a new disc brake user, is that you have more control, because you have more feedback. So it's easier to estimate exactly how much you will slow down as you're pulling on the levers. And also the force that you have to put on the levers is very low. Like you're not using your finger muscles really to brake. Well, you are, but it's much lighter than on rim brakes, and that's the main difference. But apart, they are a bit more fiddly to get them to be totally quiet. That's a fact. All right. So to conclude, does my dream build answer the questions I had in my first part, the expectations that I wanted out of a bike? And I have to say, yes, it does, and it fully does. It's more fun to ride, it's faster to ride, it's more fun to ride on long straight roads, it's more fun in corners, it's more fun to get out of the saddle, put the power down on hills. It's more fun if the road is a bit rough, or if I have to cross some cobbles, which I know Flanders cobbles, but I'm not a fan of cobbles. It's like not fun, but sometimes I have to cross them. But so all these things are more fun. So this bike is more fun to ride than my previous bike, and it's faster to ride than my previous bike. So yeah, that's the good conclusion. So my dream build for a reasonable price. So I think it is a fair thing to say. I think I got a lot of bike for my 2,600 euro budget that the whole build actually cost. And if you think about it, like normally the sweet spot for a road bike, we get the most bike is a bit over 1,000 euros, where you get like a 105 and yeah, a decent bike, decent wheels, decent everything. Yeah, excellent quality for that price. But this, I think, is also an excellent yeah, value for money bike. If you compare it to the actual super bikes, the 10,000 euros, 12,000 euros as well, like what more do you really get? If you get like, yeah, the Aero, the new tarmac or something else, what more do you really get? Well, of course, top-end group set, but even Shimano themselves say that Ultegra and Dura Ace are functionally identical. It's just differences in weight and in price. Yeah, wheels, these DT Swiss hubs are very, yeah, they have a very good quality, and that's the most important part of the wheel. Of course, again, weight, right? Tires, identical. That's the same thing. Like you're gonna also find, I mean, maybe you get tubeless, but if you don't get tubeless, this is the best setup you can get. Brakes, exactly the same. Or the Ultegra brakes, the same. Okay, they're Ultegra brakes and Dura Ace rotors, but they have the same pads, etc. Position and so on, it's also similar. So yeah, it's mostly then the frame. Is the frame worth, or is that those frames, are they worth an extra 8,000 euros, dollars, whatever? Is it gonna feel so much better? To be honest, I don't think so. It's just, so basically it's just the weight. So an actual superbike would be about 1 kilo less than this bike. So this bike without pedals, it was, and I don't have a super accurate scale for a bike, but it was 7.9 to 8-ish, and then with pedals, it's, yeah, and with pedals and everything else, it comes down to about 8.3, 8.4, yeah, depending on all the stuff that you put on. So about a kilo heavier than an actual super bike, but 1 kilo up on an actual steep hill is, yeah, that's like, you have to put, you know how many watts extra? About 3 to 4 watts extra on an actual steep hill. So, and if it's flat, there's no difference at all. So yeah, so I'm not super concerned with the weight, and I think I got almost the same value than those $10,000 super bikes. But yeah, if you have a $10,000 bike, I mean, I'd still maybe swap, but yeah, I'm not sure. And also, if you watch channels like Hambini or Lucier Technic, you see that those bikes aren't without faults either. Like, there's plenty of customers that have issues with those sort of bikes at that price point. So yeah, I think that's the conclusion after 400 kilometers. And I have a few more videos coming up. I want to do a nerd video where I go into all the details of the build, how it went, all my mistakes I made. I want to go also a little bit in a theoretical, make it theoretical, how much faster is this bike compared to my other bikes, and yeah, make a list of all the watt gains. And yeah, I have some more extra ideas, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!